To my mom, my brother could do no wrong. I was the afterthought, the shadow. But when disaster hit, she had no choice but to lean on the son she'd spent a lifetime overlooking. My name is Jack, and from as early as I can remember, my brother Ryan was the son we all orbited around. He was the golden one, the favorite, the center of every conversation, the recipient of every proud glance from mom, the kid with the photo albums full of smiles and trophies. Meanwhile, I was there. I was present. Ryan scored a goal in Little League, and the whole family went out for dinner. I made honor roll 3 semesters in a row, and mom barely looked up from her crossword. I remember once, in 8th grade, I won a regional spelling bee, not school-wide, not class-wide, regional. I came home, buzzing with excitement, holding the certificate like it was my ticket to finally being seen. Mom said, "That's nice, honey," then went right back to helping Ryan with his science fair volcano. The one Dad probably built for him, if we are being honest. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe I just was not flashy enough. Ryan was loud, charming, the kind of kid who could lie straight to your face and still get dessert. I was quieter, more careful. I followed the rules, kept my head down. It took me a long time to realize that being the easy kid meant being the invisible one. Ryan broke the rules, and they bent to fit him. I followed them, and no one noticed. Birthdays were a joke. His were events, balloons, cakes, friends spilling out into the backyard. Mine? Sheet cake on a weeknight, and if I was lucky, a card with $5 tucked inside. One year, I actually got a re-gifted sweater, with the tag still attached from a store that closed down 2 years earlier. But the worst part? I kept trying. I thought maybe if I worked harder, did more, achieved something big enough, she'd see me. So I got straight A's, took summer courses, stayed out of trouble. I did not drink. I did not party. I did not even leave the house without telling her where I was. Meanwhile, Ryan wrecked Dad's old truck in high school after sneaking out, and Mom still made his favorite pancakes the next morning. Said he was just a teenager being a teenager. By the time we were adults, the pattern was cemented. Ryan went off to chase big dreams, college he barely earned, a job Dad pulled strings for, and Mom talked about him like he was saving the world. Me? I stayed close to home, took a job at a small local firm, paid bills, called every week, visited every holiday. I was the dependable one, but no one brags about dependable. Still, I kept showing up, because deep down, I thought maybe if I was just enough of a constant, one day she would turn around and realize I was the one still standing. I just did not know it would take everything falling apart for her to finally look in my direction. And let me tell you, when Ryan fell, he did not fall quietly. The thing about growing up second best is, after a while, you start to believe it is your rightful place. I used to wake up every day thinking, maybe today is the day she sees me. Maybe I could earn it. Her attention, her pride, her love. But trying to win your mother's approval when her heart already belongs to someone else. That is like trying to win a race when the finish line keeps moving, and your competition started halfway down the track. Ryan never had to ask for love. It followed him like a loyal dog. One raise of his voice, and the world rearranged itself to make him comfortable. I used to watch him walk into the house, drop his bag on the floor, kick his shoes off right in the hallway, and call out, "What's for dinner?" like a king arriving home from battle. And Mom, she would drop whatever she was doing just to answer him. Me? I learned to clean up after myself before I hit double digits. I kept my shoes lined up by the door, said please and thank you. I did not want to be a burden. I wanted to be good. But good boys do not make headlines in families like mine. There was this one moment I always come back to. Senior year. I got a full scholarship to a state university, tuition, housing, the whole thing. I was proud. It meant I could finally afford to leave. Start fresh. When I told Mom, she barely reacted. Just nodded and said, "Well, that is great, Jack. But did you hear Ryan is interviewing at that tech firm in Chicago? That place with the fancy rooftop gym?" No joke. Those were her exact words. The woman could turn any conversation into a segue about Ryan. I remember sitting there, smiling, pretending it did not sting. I was used to it by then. But that night, I went for a walk and ended up by the football field behind our old high school. Just stood there under the lights, thinking about how no matter how hard I pushed, I would always be second place in a race only I was running. I started measuring my worth in silence. If I kept the peace, maybe that was enough. If I helped out with Dad's bills after he passed, Maybe that would earn me a little grace. When Mom needed groceries, I picked them up. When the gutters backed up, I cleared them. Quiet loyalty. Steady hands. That became my role. And still, every birthday, every holiday, every just checking in phone call, she would bring up Ryan. His new girlfriend. His job. His brilliant ideas. His promotions. But Ryan was building castles on sand. I could see it. He lived big. Flashy car, expensive suits, pictures online of cocktails with people I had never heard of. He looked successful. But success has a smell when it is real. His always smelled like cologne and borrowed money. I wanted to say something. Warn her. But every time I even hinted that something was off, Mom would shut it down. You are just jealous, she would say. Ryan is doing amazing things, Jack. You should be proud of your brother. Proud. Sure. I was proud he could balance so well on a crumbling lie. I kept my mouth shut. Until one day, I couldn't anymore. Because when Ryan's tower finally collapsed, he did not go down alone. He dragged the whole damn family with him. It started with a phone call. Late afternoon on a Wednesday. I was at work, sipping lukewarm coffee and going through invoices when my phone buzzed. It was Mom. She never called during business hours unless it was serious. I answered fast, thinking maybe she had fallen or locked herself out again. But her voice, shaky, not the usual clipped tone she used with me, told me this was different. She said Ryan was in trouble. At first, she was vague. Just kept repeating, he needs help, Jack. Your brother is in a difficult place. I asked her what happened, and she paused, long enough for my stomach to twist into knots. Then she said the word, debt. Now, Ryan always lived like the bills would pay themselves. He treated credit cards like gift cards. He used to joke about how only poor people check balances. But apparently, it caught up to him. Big time. He had lost his job 2 months earlier and told no one. He kept showing up on social media like he was still balling out in downtown Chicago, posting from rooftop bars, tagging fake meetings, photos from inside restaurants he never actually dined at. Meanwhile, he had racked up thousands in unpaid rent, bounced car payments, and defaulted on 2 personal loans Mom co-signed without telling me. That last part hit me like a brick to the chest. She had co-signed loans for him. Multiple. The same woman who once told me she could not risk her credit score by helping me get a used car after graduation had signed for Ryan's second luxury apartment lease in a city he barely lived in. And now, collectors were calling her, threatening legal action. She was in tears. They say they are going to come after the house, she whispered. I had to step out of the office, walk around the parking lot in circles to keep from yelling. I wanted to scream. How could you be surprised? How could she not see this coming? But I did not yell. I just asked, where is he now? She said he was staying with her for the time being. Laid up in the guest room like some fallen prince waiting for his throne to be restored. He is so stressed, she added. He has not eaten a real meal in days. Right. Meanwhile, I had skipped lunch 3 times last week to afford her new prescription because the insurance deductible reset in January. She said Ryan needed a plan. That maybe I could talk to him. Maybe help him find something. He listens to you, she said. That line almost made me laugh out loud. Ryan never listened to me. Not once in his life. But sure, now that everything was on fire, suddenly I was someone worth hearing. I told her I would stop by after work. When I pulled up to her house, the porch light was on. I could already hear the television blaring from inside. I stepped through the front door, and there he was. Ryan. On the couch. Wearing joggers and a hoodie that probably cost more than my whole outfit, scrolling through his phone like he had nothing better to do. He barely looked up. Hey, Jack, he said, like we were just catching up over beers, not dealing with a financial disaster. I looked at Mom, pacing the kitchen, flustered, red-eyed. And in that moment, something shifted. The old hierarchy, the golden boy myth, all of it cracked in my mind. Because this time, no charm, no smile, no lazy excuse was going to clean this up. Ryan was drowning. And Mom, our mom, had finally realized the lifeguard she always relied on could not swim. But guess who could? Me. The one she always left on the shore. I did not say anything to Ryan that night. Not right away. I just stood there, watching him scroll through his phone like none of this was real. Like Mom's world was not crashing down around him. He looked comfortable, too comfortable. She made him dinner. Of course she did. Chicken parmesan, his favorite. I do not think I had seen her cook from scratch in over a year. When I came by, she always offered leftovers or a frozen dinner. But for Ryan, A full spread, complete with garlic bread, and that wine she kept tucked away for special occasions. That used to sting. But now I just felt tired. I sat at the table while she fussed over him, asking if he needed more sauce, if he was warm enough, if the couch pillows were too flat. He barely answered, just nodded, shrugged, scrolled. He was acting like a guy waiting for the maid to change his sheets, not a man responsible for burying our mother in debt. Finally, I asked the question. How much? She flinched. Then her eyes dropped. Over 80, she whispered. Maybe 90. It is hard to say. Some of it is fees, interest. My stomach dropped. That was not just money. That was years of security. Gone. I asked her if she had been making payments, and she nodded, but barely. She was already dipping into her retirement fund. I stared at Ryan. He was still tapping at his phone. You got anything to say? I asked. He sighed, like I had just asked him to take the trash out. Then, without looking at me, he said, it just spiraled, man. I was doing fine until the layoffs. You do not get it. Oh, I got it. I got it real clear. The thing that got me the most. He never once said sorry. Not to Mom. Not to me. He acted like this was just a bump in the road. Like someone would come along and clean it up for him, just like they always did. Except this time, there was no one else left. He went back to the guest room after dinner, and Mom sat across from me at the table, hands wrapped around her wine glass. She looked smaller somehow, like all that blind confidence she used to carry. The same confidence that turned every conversation into a Ryan appreciation hour had finally worn out. Then she said something I had never heard from her before. I do not know what to do. It was not dramatic. It was not a cry for help. It was honest. Frighteningly honest. That was the moment it hit me. She had no idea how to function without Ryan being the hero. And now that her hero had crashed, she was looking at the backup. The spare. The one she never thought she would need. Me. So I laid it out. I told her the loans were a mess, but there were ways to negotiate. I told her she had to freeze her credit. Get in touch with a financial advisor. Stop enabling him. She nodded like a student in trouble. But then she asked something that stopped me cold. She said, could you talk to your bank? Maybe take out a loan in your name to help us through this? Us. Not him. Us. That was the moment I realized just how deep it went. Even now, with the pedestal and splinters, she could not separate Ryan's mess from her identity. She still expected me to fix it. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and said no. Quiet. Firm. No. She stared at me like I had slapped her. Jack, she whispered, you are his brother. I looked at her, really looked at her, and said, yeah, and I have been yours too. For 32 years. Then I walked out, and I knew something had changed. Because for the first time in my life, she did not follow me. I did not sleep that night. Just laid there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the years I had bent over backward trying to earn a place in a house that never had space for me. All those birthdays I spent pretending I did not care. The phone calls that only came when Ryan was too busy. The apologies I made for things I did not do. All of it. And now they wanted me to sign away my future to patch up a mess I did not make. I was not angry. I was past angry. What I felt was sharper than that. Cold. Clean. Like someone had finally scraped off the last layer of denial from my skin and left me with nothing but clarity. The next morning, I called in sick. I needed time. Not just to breathe, but to figure out what came next. By noon, I was at the bank. Not to apply for a loan, to protect myself. I had this bad feeling in my gut. The kind that does not come from overthinking, but from knowing someone too well. Ryan had burned through his own name. And Mom. She still saw me as a backup plan with a better credit score. I froze my credit, flagged my accounts, updated every password I had. Paranoid? Maybe. But 2 days later, I got a fraud alert. Someone had tried to open a new line of credit in my name. The bank flagged it immediately, but the address listed? It was my mother's. I felt my heart stop. Just for a moment. I called her. Calmly. She picked up on the second ring, like she had been expecting it. She sounded tired. Worn down. But she did not deny it. I thought it might buy us some time, she said. Us again. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask her how she could do that to me after everything. But I was too exhausted to yell. All I said was, this ends now. Then I hung up. I did not block her. Not yet. But I did not answer when she called back. I needed space. I needed to feel like my life was mine again. A week passed. I kept my head down. Went to work. Paid bills. Ate takeout at my kitchen table in silence. It was not glamorous. But it was mine, and I had built it with my own 2 hands. No shortcuts, no bailouts. That Friday, I got a knock on my door. It was Ryan. Hair messy, eyes bloodshot, sweatshirt inside out. He looked like a man who had finally run out of stories to tell himself. "Can I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside. Not for him, for me. I needed to see what this really was. He sat on the couch and rubbed his hands together like he was trying to warm them, even though it was 72 degrees in my apartment. "I messed up," he said. "I know that now." He started talking. About the debt. About the job loss. About the apartment, the girlfriend who left, the friends who stopped returning his calls. All of it. "I do not know what to do anymore, Jack." I watched him fall apart. And the strangest thing happened. I did not hate him. I should have. Maybe I did once. But what I felt now was something different. Pity. Because for the first time in his life, Ryan was just a man. Not a favorite. Not a golden boy. Just a man with no safety net and no one left to lie to. And the only person still willing to listen was the brother he had spent a lifetime ignoring. I said nothing for a while. Just let the silence sit. Then I asked him, "What exactly do you want from me?" His answer? That changed everything. Ryan looked me dead in the eye, and for once, he did not look smug or smooth or ready with some charming excuse. He looked desperate. "I need to stay here," he said, "just for a few weeks, until I figure something out." The silence that followed was heavy. Like the air itself knew this was not just a question, it was a test. A last card, played by someone who never thought he would need mercy. I leaned back in my chair, studying him. He looked smaller than I remembered. Not just physically, but in spirit. The shine was gone. His voice was flat. Even the usual fake confidence had drained out of him. "You burned every bridge," I said. "I know. You dragged Mom down with you. I know. You tried to open a line of credit in my name." He paused. That one stung him. "That wasn't me," he said quickly. "That was her." I stared at him. "Look," he added. "I didn't even know she tried that." I swear. I wanted to believe him. But even if that part was true, it did not wash away the rest. Then came the real twist. He reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out a folded envelope. Placed it on the coffee table between us. No dramatic flourish. No speech. Just quiet. "What's this?" I asked. He didn't answer. I opened it slowly. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. I recognized the shaky cursive immediately. "Mom." The date was recent. Just 2 days ago. She had written me a full confession. Said she knew what she did was wrong. Said she had called the credit company, admitted to the fraud attempt, begged them to drop it if I did not press charges. She had even written she was ashamed. Then the last part. "I was wrong about you, Jack. I spent so long looking at the wrong son. And I see that now. But I am scared. Scared that I finally need you, and I've already pushed you too far away." My hands trembled. I had waited years for her to say something like that. And now that it was here, in black ink on soft white paper, it did not feel victorious. It felt empty, because she only saw my worth when the other option collapsed. Ryan sat there, watching me. He must have known what was in the letter. Maybe she wrote it for both of us. Maybe she gave it to him as some kind of peace offering, or maybe she was just passing the guilt around like leftovers. "I don't have anyone else," he said. That much was true. But I did. I had people who respected me. A boss who trusted me. Friends who texted me to grab a drink on Friday nights. A neighbor who asked for my help fixing her porch steps. I had built a life with solid ground under it. Ryan had only ever known the view from the pedestal. Now that he was in the dirt, he was finally learning what it felt like to be overlooked. Forgotten. Lost. The irony was sharp. Almost poetic. I stood up and looked him straight in the eye. "You can stay," I said. He exhaled, relief flooding across his face. "But on my rules. My timeline. My space. You contribute, or you leave. One slip and you're out." He nodded fast. Too fast. Like a kid promising to behave. But I had seen that look before. Something told me this story was not done unraveling. Because Ryan's fall, it was not over yet. And the next time he crashed, I would be the one holding the decision he feared most. The first week with Ryan in my apartment was tolerable. He slept on the pull-out couch. Kept mostly to himself. Tried to act grateful. Washed a few dishes. Even offered to pay for groceries. Until I reminded him he had no income. Still, I thought maybe, this could be the moment he changed. Maybe rock bottom had finally done what years of favoritism could not. But the cracks showed fast. By week 2, He was leaving pizza boxes on the counter, leaving the bathroom light on all night, borrowing my clothes without asking. It was like watching someone slip right back into their default setting the second they caught their breath. One night, I came home from work and found him on a video call, shirtless, beer in hand, talking loud, laughing, on my couch, with my Wi-Fi, like he was still living some college fantasy. When I confronted him, he waved it off. Relax, man. Just catching up with some buddies. I reminded him this was not a frat house. He rolled his eyes. And right there, it hit me. He did not respect me. Not really. He was just using me. Like he had used Mom. Like he had used every opportunity that was handed to him. I was not his brother in this moment. I was a mattress. A meal ticket. A placeholder until the next shiny thing came along. That night, I set the rules down in writing. 1 page. Clear. Rent due by the 1st of the month once he got work. Clean up after yourself. No uninvited guests. 30-day limit. He did not like it. You're treating me like a damn tenant, he muttered. You're lucky I'm not treating you like a stranger, I replied. He stormed off to the couch and sulked. Like a child. Meanwhile, something else was brewing in the background. Something Mom had not told him yet. 3 days later, I got a call from her lawyer. She had transferred power of attorney. To me. Not Ryan. She had made it official. Put it in writing. Gave me control over her accounts, her house, her health directives, everything. I did not ask for it. She just did it. Her voice was shaky on the phone. She said, I had to choose the one I knew would not run. The irony? I had been running my whole life. From her. From him. From the crushing silence that came with always being second. But now I was the one holding the pen. Ryan had no clue. Not yet. But he was about to find out. And what I did with that power would change our family forever. It happened on a Tuesday. Quiet morning. The kind that smells like coffee and feels like routine. Ryan stumbled into the kitchen, yawning like he had survived a war. Shirtless again. Hair wild. Acting like my apartment was a resort. He opened the fridge, grunted at the lack of oat milk, and asked when I was doing the next grocery run. That was it. I grabbed the folder off the table, the one I had been staring at all night. Legal documents. Letters. The updated power of attorney form. Mom's signed statement. It was all there. Neat. Final. I set it in front of him. What's this? He asked, already annoyed. Read it. He flipped through the first page, squinting. Then the second. And that is when I saw it, the shift. His whole body tensed. Like someone had just pulled the rug out from under him. You're lying, he said. There's no way she gave you power of attorney. She did. He laughed. One of those fake, hollow ones. She wouldn't. She trusts me. Not anymore. Silence. He kept reading. Hands shaking now. Then he slammed the folder shut and shoved it away. This is because you're bitter. You've always been jealous of me. I should have been mad. But instead, I just shook my head. Jealous? No. I pitied you. That word, pity, it hit him harder than anything I could have said. You were handed everything, I continued. And look what you did with it. You are 30 years old and can't hold a job, can't pay rent, can't even clean up after yourself. Mom finally saw it. And now she sees me too. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Like the brother he used to dismiss had suddenly grown teeth. I don't believe you, he said. She wouldn't just give up on me. She didn't give up. She woke up. He stood there, chest rising and falling like he was about to explode. I could see the pride unraveling behind his eyes. The panic. The realization that he was no longer the chosen one. He started pacing. What are you going to do? Kick me out? Freeze my accounts? Run the whole family now? I looked him dead in the eye. Maybe. He stormed out of the kitchen, slammed the door to the guest room like a teenager grounded for the first time in his life. I let him go, because I knew what was coming next. And I knew the call I was going to make that afternoon, to the realtor, to the bank, to the lawyer handling Mom's estate. Ryan had lost his crown. And the throne? It was gone. Because I was not here to replace him. I was here to rebuild from the ashes. The next morning, Ryan was gone. No note. No text. Nothing. He had packed his things sometime in the night. Though packed, might be generous. He left a pile of dirty laundry in the corner, a broken pair of earbuds on the coffee table, and the smell of cologne still hanging in the air like he wanted me to remember him. And I did. But not the version he wanted me to remember. I remembered the years of being silenced at dinner while he told some exaggerated story. I remembered Mom clapping for his participation trophies while ignoring my honor roll certificates. I remembered every time he failed upward, every time I fell through the cracks just trying to be enough. But I also remembered the look on his face when he saw that paperwork. That look of a man finally realizing his free ride had ended. I called Mom that afternoon. She sounded tired. Her voice had aged in just a few weeks. I told her Ryan left. She said, I figured he would. Then came the question I had been bracing for. Did I ruin him, Jack? I had no script for that. No clever response. Just the truth. I think you made him believe the world owed him something. And now he's learning that it doesn't. She went quiet. Then she asked if I hated her. I told her no. But I did not say I forgave her either. She asked what I was going to do now, with the power of attorney, with the house, with everything. I told her the truth. I'm going to clean it up. And I did. I consolidated her accounts. Got her out of the worst of the debt. Sold off the second car she never drove. Worked with the bank to lock down every loan Ryan had co-signed with her name. Slowly, piece by piece, I began to stabilize what he had nearly destroyed. I hired someone to check in on her weekly. She did not like that at first, said it made her feel old. But I told her she had lost the right to object when she gave away her authority and nearly her future. The hardest part was walking through that old house. Our house. The one that held so many ghosts. The living room where Ryan opened all the big presents, while I got socks. The kitchen where my report cards got buried under his field trip forms. The stairs I used to sit on, listening to Mom tell someone on the phone how brilliant her son was, never realizing she had two. It would have been easy to sell it all. Walk away. But I didn't. I gutted it. Repainted. Repaired. Remodeled the whole thing, room by room, with my own two hands. Not for Ryan. Not for her. For me. I turned that house into something it had never been before, a place that finally felt like mine. And just when I thought it was over, the doorbell rang. It was Ryan. And he was not alone. It had been 2 months since Ryan left. 2 months of quiet, of rebuilding, of peace. So when the doorbell rang and I saw him standing there, jacket wrinkled, hair slicked back in a rush, a duffel bag over his shoulder, I already knew something was wrong. But it was not just him. Mom was standing beside him. At first, I thought maybe he had dragged her here, talked her into some last-ditch plea. But no, the look on her face was different this time. It was not warm, not maternal. It was worn out, almost apologetic. She said nothing. Ryan did the talking. Can we come in? I stood there for a moment, unsure. Then I stepped aside. They sat down on the couch, the same one he used to sprawl across like a king. Now he sat on the edge of it, hands clasped, like he was waiting for a verdict. I messed up again, he said. Worse this time. Turns out, after leaving my place, he tried to crash with an old friend. That lasted a week. Then he bounced around motels, drained what little cash he had left, borrowed more money, missed payments. He had been served papers the day before for breach of contract. A startup investment gone sideways. His name was on documents he did not fully understand. Mom chimed in, her voice quieter than I had ever heard it. I told him there's nothing I can do. My accounts are locked. I can't help. Ryan looked at me, eyes red. No swagger left. I don't have anyone else, Jack. It was a strange moment. For the first time in my life, the roles had flipped. The favored son sat there, waiting to be chosen, waiting to be saved. And me? I had the power to say yes or no. I looked at Mom. She was wringing her hands. The same hands that used to clap for Ryan while I sat in the background. I was wrong, she said softly. About everything. I nodded. I know. Then I turned to Ryan. I can't fix this for you, I said. Not again. Not ever. But I will tell you what I told myself when I stopped being the backup plan. Start over. Get help. Own it. Every part of it. He looked down. I don't know how, he said. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. You'll learn. The same way I did. Without applause. Without safety nets. You'll figure it out when there's no one left to catch you. And when you do, maybe then you'll understand who I've been this whole time. He nodded once. Slowly. Then stood up. He did not beg. Did not fight. He just said, thank you. For letting me in. Even if it was just to hear it. Then he walked out. Mom stayed behind. She looked around the apartment, at the framed photos, the tidy bookshelves, the work I had done with my own hands. This place feels like home, she whispered. It is, I replied. Mine. She looked at me the way I had always wanted her to. Not like the second son. Not like the afterthought. but like someone she was truly seeing for the first time. I should have seen it sooner, she said. You were the strong one. I did not smile. I did not need to. I just walked her to the door, told her to call if she ever wanted to talk, not to ask, not to plead, just talk. And when the door shut behind her, I stood there for a long moment. Not because I was sad, because I finally felt free. Because sometimes, the child left in the shadows is the one holding the whole damn house together. And when the lights finally come on, you learn exactly who was strong enough to stand in the dark.